Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's Spaggy. Hope you guys are all doing well. So I've just come back from Pakistan versus Korea, the amazing exhibition that we had down in Seoul, and it's been a couple of days, been resting, and we've seen now Tekken Talk live. I actually watched it live last night on my stream, and I've just woken up to see kind of what the community has been thinking about it, and of course, the community is not happy. So before the Tekken Talk, just to give you a little bit of context, it was said that in this Tekken Talk, they were going to kind of go over some of the more defensive changes that were made, including, for example, the sidestepping from, the foreground and background from crouch, like all of these changes that were made, including more that were made to kind of buff movement and defense, because that was, again, in their words, one of the main focuses of Season 2, which of course the community was very happy about. But watching the Tekken Talk, it didn't really seem like when they got into the nitty-gritty of characters and, buffs and nerfs, that was the case. Some of the system changes that they showed that were new system changes also didn't really lend itself to show anything to buff defense, and we'll go over those in a second as well and talk about them. So the first one I'm going to talk about here is the key charge change. Now in Tekken, if you key charge, you will not be in a state where you're able to counter hit your opponent. The change is that now the first hit of whatever you do in a key charge state is actually just going to do 150% damage, right? So it won't do 100%, it's going to just be a small increase in the damage taken. So the example they used was Hwoarang when it came to the key charge thing. As you can see, down back 4, you do key charged, and it was a mix-up between launching with a mid or going for down back 4, which is a very strong low. Down back 4 with Hwoarang was, I wouldn't say it was safe, but it was not always punishable, right? It was a mix-up, and I think those kind of lows are just not fun at all. Now, so what they've done here, as you can see, is that the down back 4 doesn't actually counter hit to give the full flappy kicks afterwards, especially in heat. He gets a flappy kicks combo and it's just so much damage from a single low poke. But they're showing now that the flappy kicks is not guaranteed after down back 4, because key charge has now changed. All that happens now is that the first down back 4 is going to do more damage. I think what would have been a better idea was just to nerf the down back 4 of Hwoarang. If that was a setup that was seen to be a little bit too strong, probably just nerf that move. Maybe not nerf key charge as a whole, because changing key charge is actually a very, very big change. A change that is not going to only just affect Hwoarang setups, but actually everyone in a way. I was actually talking about this recently when I was in Korea with some players, specifically about how back in the day, even in Tekken 7, people used to do things like key charge, and when they're in rage, because you can't block in a key charge state, people will try and attack and then they'll just do rage art. It was so fun and funny to watch. Whenever you see someone key charge in a set, it actually is very exciting, because that it's a risky thing to go for that is either going to play off really well or be really bad. And those moments are very exciting. And of course, a lot of characters had key charge setups. So I'd say a lot, not a lot of characters, but quite a few characters had key charge setups. So it wasn't just Hwoarang who had obviously very strong key charge mix-ups on Oki, but other characters like Law and Asuka, and I'm sure other characters as well. I've seen Leo players go for key charge too, and some players really use key charge as a thing that they do, and it kind of gave them individuality, but they've kind of taken it away now, and I'm not sure why, because again, key charge wasn't something that anyone really had an issue with. I think that even with Hwoarang, as strong as down back 4 what it is, given the flappy kicks on counter hit guaranteed, people had more issue with the down back 4 than the actual key charge itself, right? So they've changed key charge, but I'm interested to see how that is going to play into I'm interested to see how that's going to play into the game when we finally get our hands on Season 2. So let's have a look at this tweet from Rip, and it's not just Rip that's saying this, but a lot of people are. He said, key charge no longer giving counter hit is the worst change since removing jump over wall tech catches in Tekken 7. They took something that was situationally character specific and nerfed the entire game of it, the entire game because of it again. So you know, again, Rip was one of those guys who really loved to do like kind of jump over wall Oki, and he was the kind of person who would use key charge as well because he was very creative. And now that kind of, I guess, creativity and individuality in your gameplay has been taken away, because again, key charge doesn't really do anything anymore. It's not worth ever doing unless you're taunting your opponent now. You know, because all it's going to do is just an extra 50% damage, right, on the first hit, which is like, in terms of risk reward, it's just not worth it at all, you know, to do. Unless of course you can block in a key charge state now. I don't know, I don't think they mentioned that, but if you can, then maybe it's worth going for it sometimes. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But still, Rip and as well as a lot of other people are quite upset about this key charge change. It seemed like it wouldn't be such a deep one, but it kind of, because it's a system-wide change, it's upset quite a few people. So another change that was made system-wide is that now if you sidestep or you add an angle on your opponent and you launch them, the game will basically realign the launched opponent so that you can get your bread and butter combos easier. It's an interesting change because I've seen before that combos can drop, and they used Jun as an example. I actually used to play Jun as my main character at the start of Tekken 8, and I realized that after sidestepping and getting a launch, let's say I do sidestep down 4-2, then certain combos, bread and butter combos, will whiff. So what they've done now is that if you sidestep, even quite a lot, as you can see here with Lydia, and you go for the hop kick, Jin actually realigns quite a lot to Lydia so that she can get her bread and butter combo. In the past, if you did a sidestep and they were at an angle, you would have to change your combo depending on the angle that the opponent was at, so that your combo didn't drop. And I think if you play enough Tekken, you're probably in a situation where you know what combo to go for in what situation. But, you know, I've been coaching some new players in Tekken recently, and, you know, telling them a bread and butter combo, and then seeing that they drop it when they do a sidestep punish, it's quite complicated, I think, for the new player to understand. It's like, why isn't my combo working? Oh, what, I have to do another combo when I have an angle, but what is the angle? You know, like, it's quite a lot to absorb. So what they've done here is made it simple, more simple, that if you sidestep left or right, you're still going to be able to get your bread and butter combos most of the time against the character. They do also show here, by the way, that if you sidestep quite a lot to the side or the back, that it doesn't realign in that situation, you know, as much. Like, you're still going to have to do a combo which is, you know, character specific. But it's only in situations where there's a slight sidestep or you're at a slight angle, the character will realign more to you after being launched, and you'll be able to get your combo easier. Now, there are some people who are actually a little bit upset about that too. Now, we may have not seen this guy for a while, Mateo, but if you have been around in Tekken for a long enough time, you would know that at one point he was probably the best Feng in the United States. Very, very strong player from USA. Still probably able to play the game at a very good, very high level. So Mateo says, more training wheels and changes no one wants. Take out off-axis combos. Dude said they aren't fair. It's a skill game. Learn your combos for all scenarios. What is this? So again, even with the off-axis combos, people aren't really happy about it. Now, in my opinion, I'm 50-50. I'm thinking in my head that, you know what, for newer players, it is a good thing that they're going to have to just, like, they don't have to think too much about kind of what combo to go for in what scenario. If I tell someone who is new, if I'm coaching someone and I say, this is your combo, and it drops because you went for a sidestep launch, then, you know, I don't know. I mean, some people are going to be like, this is too much. This is too much to think about. This is my combo. Why can't I just do this combo in most scenarios? Like, I understand if it's on the side, if it's the back, you kind of have to probably go for another combo, but, you know, I'm still facing the opponent. I just sidestepped a little bit, so why is my combo dropping? Now, again, one thing that could have been done in that situation is, if there are combos and characters that have issues with axis, buff those characters, their combos. Maybe just give a little bit more range to, like a tiny bit more range to some of those moves which drop sometimes. I can understand that if it's the jab that is dropping, then you don't want to buff jab too much, right? But again, it was a system-wide change that was made here to buff the axis to realign with all characters in all scenarios, right? So I'm not actually too against this. I think that it does help to simplify the game in a good way, that it also makes it more consistent, because you know, even even strong players are going to be able to drop combos because of small axis changes. You know, I'm looking at Law as an example. You know, sometimes you know, the legend kick could whiff, or some other move could whiff if you at a slight axis. Jabs can sometimes whiff, as they showed with Lydia. You know, jab can sometimes whiff when you do Sidestep hop kick in the combo. So I'm not really against it, but I do understand that some people are going to be upset because they're like, oh, you know, now I don't get to do my cool off-axis combo. You know, it's when you were at an angle, sometimes you were able to do really cool kind of combos that were specific to that angle, which I think is quite try-hard. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's quite try-hard, but this is something that I used to do as well, and it's good. But again, if the aim is to make the game more simple and easier for new players to get into, then I understand this change. Now they showed, as you can see here, some new moves from Asuka and Reina. There's a battle between them here in the Season 2 patch, and you can already see, you know, I think she can go into stance now from the Power Crush, right? Is that what I saw here? Oh no, it's not a Power Crush now, but it's the mid, and then she goes into Heaven and Earth stance, and then goes for this low, which I don't know if that's new or not, but that looks like a new low. And this here from, as you can see on the right hand side, it says counter. Now they've built into the UI, they've built into the game that when you're in game, if you get a counter hit or a punish or tornado, it's going to pop up on the screen. It's not gonna, it doesn't really take over the screen, but there is a little notification that pops up when you get a counter. Now I think this is huge. This is a massive system change that you could see top players talking about. So as you can see from what Nee said, he said, I think the information UI output makes counter hit confirming easier. I guess he meant confirming. Counter hit confirming easier, providing the convenience of certain characters. You'll probably experience it after 1st of April, but I will try if a delayed second hit is possible after counter UI. So in this situation, what he's talking about is, let's say a very good example is Law's back 1-2-2 and King's down forward 2-1. Both of these moves, you know, you have to confirm that they were counter hit visually by seeing that your opponent either pressed the button, or sometimes in Tekken, some moves have a different animation or hit effect on counter hit, so you can confirm that hit effect and then finish the move, right? In this situation now, if it says counter, you don't really have to visually confirm that there was a counter hit. It's a visual confirm, but you're looking at this big writing that just says counter. As you can see on the screen here, it just says counter, and you can just continue the string. And I think that is huge for some characters. That is a massive buff that I think not enough people are talking about. I've seen a lot on Twitter today, but Nee was the only one that kind of really spoke about this and said that this is actually going to provide a lot of convenience to some characters. And we're talking about characters specifically like King and Law, these characters that have like these very strong counter hit tools. You got 1-1-1, the G-clefs of all these different characters like Kuma and Lars and Law, and so many characters now have G-clefs. Even Lily has 1-1-3 now. So any character that has that, you can kind of confirm, oh, it was a counter hit, let me finish the string. So that is huge. And again, I don't know what to think about that, because I think the top players were very easily able to confirm certain moves on counter hit, and I was always really impressed. Like I would look at the Jun, for example, and be like, how does he confirm down forward 2-1? Like, I feel like every time he just knows his counter hit. It's not like King's down forward 2 is very easy to visually confirm it was a counter hit, but he does it so often. Like, he just knows when it's a counter hit, and it's impressive. But now if I see that it was counter, obviously as commentators we're going to be able to say, oh, that was a counter hit, you know. But we were able to do that anyway. I feel like, you know, I was able to do that anyway. I was able to see that it was a counter hit, and I'll say, yeah, that's a counter hit. But yeah, now I think this is going to make counter hit confirming a lot easier, and maybe people are going to start complaining when they see that, if you can use that to confirm counter hits with certain characters. Alright, ladies and lads, so let's get to the biggest thing that people were upset about. There's been a huge talk on social media when it comes to the buffs and nerfs of certain characters, and in Tekken Talk they actually did show off a few characters to see what changes were made to them, and it was quite interesting to watch. Now a lot of people are upset because it seemed like they decided to focus on showing the buffs to certain characters rather than nerfs, but they did show some nerfs as well. So they start off with showing some moves to Azucena that were buffed. Let's have a look at what they did with Azucena. And again, people aren't really too happy about it. Now, we already saw some changes that obviously the forward 1+2, the Power Crush heat engages are gone, which is a big plus. That's a massive plus to this game. But they now show that she's able to go into stance of the running 3-2, which again is like you nerfed, you had running 3-2 really, really strong, then you nerfed it, and now you've buffed it again to be +5 in stance. But she also has some new moves from stance as well. So let's have a look. So that jab was already in there. Let's see what they do. I think there's a move. I'm not sure what. I think it's 3+4 maybe. In stance, in the lib stance. There it is there. So it's a +2 on block. It seems like it crushes quite a lot as well. That's a clear high crushing mid. But it's going to also, I believe, counter hit launch you, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they're going to show it here that it counter hit launches when he gets rid of the blocking hit on the practice mode. Look at that, man. Counter hit launcher as well. +2 counter hit launcher. Which also seems to crush a lot. Now, it is from stance, but again, it's like, that's kind of crazy. And I know that there are people that play Azucena that are downplaying and saying that she's not good and blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. I think, I don't mind this. It does a chunk of damage. It's strong. It looks linear, but I do want to see more nerfs than buffs to not just Azucena, but every character, you know. It doesn't matter how strong you think they are or how weak you think they are. I really feel like, you know, nerfs are the way to go. But obviously in patches like this, in these big overhauls in season 2, new seasons, there are gonna be buffs as well to pretty much every character, and that is something that we saw here in Tekken Talk. Another massive change they made to Azucena is that now down 1 is now +4 on block. She has a new full crouch low, which by the way, they did show the full crouch low is -15, so it is launch punishable. But this big mid, sorry, down 1, which was, I think, maybe -1 or +1 before, but now it's +4, which is so big. I mean, it's a quick move as well. It seems like you can lock your opponent down. You can go. She has a real full crouch mix-up now, using while standing 3 and the full crouch low. I mean, yeah, this character is definitely going to become a lot more strong in the new season. Again, nothing too much at this point. People were watching this, I was watching this, and no one was too upset. You know, there are obviously going to be people that hate Azucena. I used to hate Azucena, but this isn't too crazy at the moment. And now we move on to Devil Jin, and of course, Devil Jin is a fan favorite character. He's also been buffed here, and they're showing some of the buffs to Devil Jin because this is a character a lot of people are saying, oh, he's not good. After the nerfs in season 1, you know, he hasn't really been like viable, and they buffed quite a few things with Devil Jin as well. So now they made down forward 1-2 a natural combo. So it's a natural combo now, 31 damage. It's basically a 13 frame punish, which I think is really good. I think having that is solid. I'm not sure if it wall splats, but if it also wall splats, that is pretty big, you know. And they gave a mid extension, as you can see there, just in case you try to duck. You have a mid extension, which I've always been against. I'm like, damn, I just hate these moves, which are like, it's like a mix up on block. You want to duck the high, then the mid hits you, and it's like, but at least the mid is -13, and it is going to be risk involved with it, and it's punishable. So that is one big change they made to Devil Jin. Another big change they're going to show here is that from this stance where he flies forward at you, I don't know if it's called the Morning Crow or something. You can see there's a high unblockable, and it's quite quick as well. It's an unblockable high. It's +5. This used to be one of his heat smashes, I think. Same animation, but it's a high now. So if you try to duck that, then of course you have the mid, which will knock you down. So kind of buffing his mix-ups from the stance. Also from the laser scraper, you can now go into stance, which I'll be interested to see if that kind of lends itself to buff combos in some way for Devil Jin. They show that you can go into stance after the laser scraper back forward 2-3, I think it is. But I guess some of the biggest changes that were made were when he's in heat mode. So now he has a hell sweep, which has an extension, which is quite damaging as well, you know. Quite interesting. You know, the hell sweep is still launch punishable, but you know, it does a lot more damage, so you get more reward, and it makes sense. You know, he has an enhanced hell sweep when he's in heat. It takes some of the heat meter as well. I guess you could probably still sidewalk it as well anyway, so you have options defensively versus the hell sweep. And already with this one combo, 60 damage off a hell sweep is, I'm sure they're going to be able to optimize. Devil Jin players will be able to get probably more damage from that. But even so, guys, in this situation, this was not what people were upset about. You know, you've got a few buffs to Azucena, okay. A few buffs to Devil Jin, yeah, cool. I mean, who doesn't love watching Devil Jin, right? But it was only afterwards that people started to get, I guess, quite upset. And I think this is kind of the start of it. Like, okay, Jun Kazama wasn't a weak character. But in Heat, they've now given her low Heat Smash is no longer a Heat Smash. It's actually just a enhanced move, which is actually really, really big. I think that's... Now it just gives her more options. And these guys were saying on the Tekken Talk here that they wanted to give her more options to open up the opponent because they felt like Jun couldn't really open up an opponent. But her chip damage and plus frames was so much, I don't feel like you needed better lows. I mean, Jun was very good. She was a specialist character in a way. You don't see many people use her. But now they've kind of just given her, like, look at that, 38 damage from Heat. It does take up a lot of the Heat bar. You can only do it twice, but, I mean, it's definitely enhanced her mix-up potential now. We're talking about 50-50s, right? But they've buffed the 50-50s here from Jun, as well as giving her this very strong low that you can use multiple times. And here's another crazy change, right? So after forward 4-1+2 in the Miyare stance, I think it is, you have this plus on block, almost Kazumi like back 2 move, which is I think back 1+2, and it's it's a plus 6. It's a plus 6 homing mid. Like, so it's like Kazumi's back 2, right? But instead of it being -9 or whatever, it's plus 6. So it's like, it's a move that can stop your opponent from sidestepping, and it's just so strong. I mean, what is the counterplay to this move? You know, I think, yeah, it's 20 frames, but it's still such a strong move. And it's like we're talking about buffing movement and buffing sidestepping and this type of stuff, but you're giving these characters like options to beat that as well. It's like there's counterplay to the supposed counterplay. You know, we wanted buff movement because we want to buff movement to beat characters and use our defense to beat characters, but now you're giving these characters options to beat that counterplay. It's like, I don't know about that, you know. And a move like this is that's pretty strong, man. Yeah, back 1+2, whatever that move is from stance. Strong, very strong move. So this is the character that I use here, Zafina. That has been probably my main character recently and currently. I know Kuma is not going to be the same as he is at the moment. You know, they're probably going to nerf him quite considerably. And he was fun while it lasted, and I'll still play him. But Zafina is the character I use in Tekken 7 as well, the end of Tekken 7. And in this game, that is my main character. And they've said that they buffed her quite a bit as well. Let's have a look at what they did to Zafina, which people are also not too happy about. There are some moves they're giving to Zafina that maybe are a bit too strong to beat movement, right? So we'll have a look at what they did here. So you can see here a move, I think it's back 1+2. It's a very long range, maybe homing. I think it's a homing move as well. It's a swipe move, which maybe knocks you down as well. It's -6, but you can see that it does quite a bit of chip damage to not only Zafina but to the opponent as well. It seems almost like a 50-50 trade on chip damage. It's so strong. I mean, look, if I want to chip down my opponent, you know, and prevent him from moving, because I think tracking was one of Zafina's, you know, that was one of her problems, I think, with when it comes to tracking. Forward 1+2 seems to have been nerfed here. They said they gave it more range, but now it does a lot more chip damage to herself than it does to the opponent. So forward 1+2 is less spammable now. They said it's a buff, but actually I don't think it is a buff. This is the buff though. Down forward for 1 is now 13 frame from 14 frame. And it is safe on block, which is insane. I was like, we just throw it out, man. That is a big buff, and I'm not sure if I mean, like, as a Zafina main, of course I'm gonna love this, but I still think that it can be very obnoxious to play against, because I could just throw it out whenever I want to. You can also cancel the down forward 4-1 as well. So it's cancelable. If you get your opponent to start jabbing, then you can launch them. It's yeah, again, I don't think that's anything that I don't think it was something that Zafina players were even asking for. I think that if anything, they were asking for a better launcher, because 16 frame is her fastest launcher, but they've given her a better 13 frame now, which is, you know, cool. And she has an install now, and they haven't really spoken about too much what the install does, but I think it's got something to do with the Azazel hands. There's a new move from the from the stance. It's a low from the Scarecrow. And this as well, this is kind of crazy, right? It's the back 1+2 move. But I guess when she has her install, it does, it gives up plus frames as well. Which is insane. I think a lot of people are going to start playing Zafina now, dude. Like, even Arslan made a tweet saying, oh, Zafina, you know, going to be playing her again. But I think this is where people started to get really upset, and it's King. Now, let's pause the footage and actually go full screen here and talk about King. Guys, King is a grappler character who has the best counter hit tools in the game, the best pokes in the game. We can talk about that, right? Down 4-2-1. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you think you know. King's down 4-2-1 is the best poke in the game. It is one of the best counter hit tools in the game. Forward neutral 2 is one of the best lows in the game. Probably the best low poke in the game, right? Minus 13, a ton of damage on counter hit. These are moves including the shove, back 1-2. He has some of the best counter hit tools in the game, as well as having some of the best pokes. Now, as a grappler character, should he be having all of that? As well as having throws, which are mix-ups on the opponent? No, he shouldn't be having all of this. I know King is a very popular character when it comes to the casual scene, but honestly, I don't think that is the right thing to go for, man. And they show that muscle armor has more recovery now, so maybe being able to punish your opponent after doing muscle armor is not going to be as easy, which is great. We love to see the nerfs to muscle armor. We've got a new move here as well, new string, which looks very similar to his Tekken Tag 2 and Tekken 6 forward 2-2-2, which is quite cool. Again, I'm not against people having new moves, characters having new, even if they're as strong as King. I'm not really against it, right? So you can see that it puts him into the +9 into stance. What the hell? That is crazy. So they've also buffed Wasan in 2-2 here. Wasan in 2-2 can also go into the running charge, the Jaguar sprint, I think they call it. So his punishment has been buffed in that way too. And I think that it was a strategic error to show any buff that King got. I think, you know, people are so angry with this character. I think knowing how strong he is, you should never have shown any buffs to this character, man. Only nerfs. I think nerfs would have made everyone really, really happy. So here is a big change, guys, that a lot of people are upset about. During Heat, King's Giant Swing and Shining Wizard are going to be homing moves. They haven't really changed the animation of them too much to make a distinction between the Giant Swing and the and the Shining Wizard. So I guess it's still a mix-up, right? But they've become homing moves now. So again, more counterplay to this supposed buffed movement, right? They said they wanted to focus on making movement stronger against all opponents. They might have still done that, but they are showing us options which can beat that movement, right? Homing Giant Swing and homing Shining Wizard in Heat only. But even that is not what got most people angry. Have a look here and see that now if you even break the Giant Swing and the Shining Wizard, you will now take chip damage. You get chipped for successfully breaking a throw, which I think is insane. I think if anything, the King player should be the one who takes chip damage from having his throws broken. But now, you know, even King is getting rewarded even for having his throws broken, which again, that pissed off a lot of people. That got people talking and like, what the hell is that? This is insane. You know, I thought we were meant to nerf chip damage, but now, you know, we got King doing this. And later on, I'm going to show Anna as well. Anna got some crazy mechanics which allows her to do crazy chip damage to her opponent as well. But yeah, I'm not a massive fan of that change there, you know, like with King either. Probably one of the most controversial characters in Tekken, Yoshimitsu. Now they showed here something that was very, very important, something that everyone wanted to see, which was that they have nerfed his flash. So the flash now has a lot more recovery. It's probably more launch punishable on block. It's minus 15 currently, but I think that it might just have more block stun, or it might just be more minus on block, which either way I think is good, because right now it's so hard to punish on whiff. It's so hard to punish on block as well. But you can see that it's a significant change. It's a significant change. It's quite a lot more recovery. So they actually jab afterwards, and you can see the jab coming out, like you can see, that's how long it takes for Yoshimitsu to recover from the flash. So if they do that, easy launch. I'm just looking at this visually thinking, yeah, if you are a Yoshi player and you're using flash like this, it is now going to be a lot easier for you to be punished hard for it. But then, of course, they go to show on some new moves, -9, you know, some safe moves that he has. So they did buff Yoshi in some way as well. We're not going to really know just how strong these moves are until we get into the game. And we're not going to know all the changes. Look, they can only show very little from you know, a short video, a short Tekken talk like this. 1500 changes are not going to be able to be shown in one video, right? So it's a lot of changes for sure. But Yoshimitsu, I'm hoping certain moves like the 1-1 and his sword sweep and spin, like these moves have been dealt with as well, and that his damage overall has been lessened as well. We want to see Yoshi's damage and combo versatility gone. Like, this is one character I just want to see just completely deleted, man. So now they show Jin Kazama. There were some really good changes they showed with Jin Kazama. Of course, one of them was that down 2 is now I don't think it knocks you down. It doesn't counter hit launch you, which I think they should have changed a long time ago. Joey made a very funny tweet saying, Joey Fury made a very funny tweet saying, I can't believe you let down 2 rock for 14 months like this, the way it was. 214 is now -10, which is great. I know Jin players are like, oh, it doesn't need to be -10, just shut up, man. -10 now. You cannot be spamming that shit. You know, down 2 has less range and also only +4 and doesn't, on counter hit, doesn't give you anything. They're showing it right now. Counter hit doesn't do anything. This doesn't launch you, just knock you down. Up 4-2 as well, just like Feng's up 4-2 has now become -10. So all these moves that Jin players were relying on for insane, you know, in gameplay, you know, easy pokes and neutral, this stuff has all been nerfed. The problem is, though, they go on to show some moves that Jin has, like running 3 into like the slash kick into Zen stance, as well as some really crazy stuff from the from Heat. I'm not sure. So yeah, the dive kick's only +2 now, which is I think a nerf. Full clutch low, which is on counter hit a launcher, which is fine. So let's have a look at what Jin can do now with Heat. So he's got this new move. I don't know what it is. What is that move, man? Forward 1+2. What forward 1+2 in Heat, which is kind of like Zafina's running 1+2 and puts it into a crouch dash. So, and it does chip damage as well. So, you know, it's just an easier way for Jin to get in, as if he needed any more of those. I mean, he definitely didn't need any of those. A hell sweep, which does it stagger? Does that? Yeah, a non-staggering hell sweep, which is -14, which does chip damage. Like, again, people aren't too happy about that as well, in terms of, you know, you're just forcing the opponent to take more chip and pressure from Jin. That's a lot of damage there too. You see that in a combo. You can also use this new move, so they buffed his combos a little bit here as well. Again, we're not going to know until we have our hands on the game, you know, just how strong these moves are. But again, you know, a few nerfs to Jin, which are very important nerfs, but they've given him a few buffs as well, which was always going to happen. I think every character's going to get some buffs, but I'm hoping that the nerfs are way more. Like the nerfs outweigh the buffs that these characters got. So I'm just going to quickly go over Anna, because Anna, there are a few things that they were talking about when it comes to her. That she's gotten some moves, especially in Heat, which are very questionable, very strong. And it's got people very scared as well. In Heat, she has this running 4 move, while running 4, which is a slide that does an insane amount of damage. So I think I'm wondering if they're going to show it here. But she does have some very interesting moves in Heat. This is actually a plus on block move here, which low crushes, which is very interesting. I wonder if you can interrupt it. I don't think you can, but that's cool. I mean, Anna honestly seems very strong. I'll make a separate video about her, but she seems very strong. So here's the move, the slide move, running 4, which does this big rocket launcher move afterwards, and that's on counter there, right? Quite strong, but it's only when she's in Heat that you see just how strong this move can be. Check it out. Bro, look at the damage. 64 damage on counter. That is combo damage, guys. From a low slide. Bro, that is so much damage, man. And I don't know if it's going to be that punishable either, if we actually have a look. on block. Check it out, guys. Check this out. Running 4, bam, bam, bam. It's -1, and it has so much pushback. It's a move that, honestly, it does chip damage as well. It's so strong. It's just so strong. And it does special tactics. It gives you plus frames at the wall. Running 4, bam, bam, bam. I wonder if it is punishable if you block the low, like if you can interrupt the rocket launchers, the shots. But either way, yeah, I mean, that is again something that people were talking about when it comes to Ana, that these moves are just so OP. But we'll have to wait and see. I think we can't over exaggerate. We can't get too angry straight away. So another thing that's quite interesting with Ana is that she has the ability to apply a buff on you. Now, if you look at this move here, 2-2-2, once she hits you with the lovely Tom, the rocket launcher, you can see that Nina has a purple aura around her. What this allows is for Ana to do chip damage with every move that she has. So they're going to show it here. So 2-2-2, and once you do this move, you can see that there's a purple aura around Nina, around her picture on the top right, as well as her body as well. It's a debuff, which is completely new in Tekken as well, by the way. I don't think there's been any character that can apply a debuff to you, right? And so they're going to show now when they put Nina on block that every move that Ana does, even jabs, will do chip damage. And people are upset about that as well, because they were saying, hang on a minute, weren't we supposed to nerf chip damage in Tekken 8? And I think that I'm not too mad about it, because again, I feel like that there should be some characters that can still utilize chip damage. It shouldn't be like an overall thing, but I think some characters should be able to like abuse chip damage more than others. I still think that Kuma deserves to have chip damage more than other characters, because that should be his thing, but he also shouldn't be shitting out the amount of damage that he is, right? So it is interesting. I'm not too mad about it, but they might show it here. So look, jabs, even the jabs here are doing chip damage when in this heat state and in this debuff state. The only way to get rid of this debuff state is for Nina to attack Ana, right? So once Nina has attacked, then their debuff will go away. So it's not like it's going to be something that stays there for a long time, for a whole round or something. So I'm not too mad about that one. But either way, guys, that is a little rundown on some of the changes that they showed on the Tekken Talk when it comes to system changes, as well as character-specific changes that got people talking, that's got people very worried. I mean, right now, if you go onto Twitter, all you will see is a lot of negativity and actually a lot of panic at the moment. People are like, oh my god, I don't know what this is. You know, the key charge thing was not good. You know, now you gotta take chip damage from breaking King's throws, and you know, everywhere I look, basically on Twitter, I just see people like, oh my god, this is so scary. I'm not sure what's gonna happen. You know, people are making lists of some changes and buffs that some of the characters got, and I think buffs are always gonna scare people. I think that, you know, Tekken Talk, something like this, you know, I would suggest that, you know, in a situation where most people just want to see nerfs, you should probably just focus on the nerfs, because showing any buffs to characters is just going to get people talking and get people very angry, you know, in the current climate. Not just that, but also, if you say that Season 2 is more focused on movement and defensive options because they realize that Season 1 of Tekken 8 is just a bit too offense focused, then there needed to be a little bit more focus on what is the buffs to defense in Tekken 8, which I think there wasn't much of in this showcase of Season 2. Like, we saw that you can sidestep now from crouch. That would have been a great thing to show actually in this. This probably would have been a really good thing to show in this Tekken Talk, you know, because that is something that actually buffs your defensive capabilities and options, right? But showing new homing moves, showing like new plus on block homing moves, and chip damage and all this stuff, which people are not fans of. I think that was the wrong way to go about it. But either way, there are 1,500 changes that are going to come to these characters in Tekken, and we're going to have to wait and see what happens. You know, a lot of people are worried, but are reserving judgments. You know, we see Speed Kicks' tweets, or Gosane and these guys, these competitive players that are saying, look, I'm still going to wait until the game is out, get my hands on it, see the changes, to know exactly what I feel about Season 2, right? But let's see, are they going in the right direction? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Season 2, based on this Tekken Talk, that it's something you're looking forward to? Because I have seen some positivity as well. I'm neutral. I mean, see, like, I'm 50-50. I don't know yet. I mean, we have to wait until we have the full game, in my opinion, because of the amount of changes they're gonna put in with all these characters. So I'm interested to see what you guys think, guys. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll catch you for the next one. Take care.